You know, this is really starting to agitate me a bit. I pay for Anime Strike, and they can't even upload a series properly, any series properly. Usually, there's a delay, the subtitles are just complete trash, like fan subs are just way better, and I'm just like, are you fucking serious? Like, Princess Principal should have came out, okay? Early Sunday. Now, look at the time. It's Wednesday. Now, granted, it did come out late, actually Monday. Yeah, late Monday it came out. However, I was lazy Tuesday. I was like, nah, I just don't feel like it. I was kind of feeling a little bit under the weather, so I was just chilling. However, the big point is that I pay for Amazon Prime and then the separate subscription, and they can't even upload this series properly. They delay it for like a full day. It's really getting old. This happens for so many series. It's not just Princess Principal, but it's for a lot of series, and it's starting to agitate me. It really is. But anyways, with that being said, though, let's talk about the latest episode. So, episode 4, if I am correct, is out, and this episode does confirm one thing. It does confirm that the series is going to be jumping around into different spots. For instance, it's not chronological order, like, for instance, episode 1 to episode 2 to 3, like it follows a certain timeline. It's like a straightforward timeline. That's not the case for this series. Clearly, if you look at the, title of this episode, it was Case 9, and if you go back to the beginning, the past 2 episodes have been like Case 1 and 2, basically, and then, the first episode was like Case 12 or 13. So basically what that represented is that the first episode was like way off into the future, like future events, while the second and third episode were like the beginning of the series. And then this episode jumps into like right sort of near the end of the series, around like episode 9. This would normally have been episode 9. So when you look at it like that, it makes me really curious exactly how this series is going to be in the future, because usually when series decide to kind of mix things up, or if studios do this in general, it must mean that there's going to be like some form of crazy reveal in the future. I'm really looking forward to that, because I mean, for them to be pulling like a Haruhi type situation here, swapping the episodes around, for instance, episode 4 is episode 9, I'm kind of curious to see how the events are going to be in the future. But anyways, with that being said though, what is this episode about? Well, for the most part, it's the stereotypical, let's go be spies, and let's, recover something, or take someone down, or, navigate and get someone out of the country or something. Basically, it's the same thing we've seen for the past couple episodes, but with a little bit of a different take. This time, you have to our characters, they try to get this research that basically could be very, very bad if it's gotten into the wrong hands. Research would be, like, grown into a certain direction to where, like, a world war could possibly happen. And so the girls, our main characters, like Angie and them, they have to go out of their way, and they have to gain this research material, and then, get rid of it completely. Now, with all that being said, the princess, she's in a very difficult spot, because you have where Dorothy, for example, she doesn't completely trust the princess, and others don't trust the princess because they assume that she might be a double agent. She might be someone that is appearing to be working with all of them, but then at the end of things, she's actually working for someone else. She's gaining information, and then she's going to be completely fine once everything is said and done. And so in this case, you have it to where the episode brings up some conflict to see if the princess really is a good person, or if she is on our side. I mean, we already have established that she's not an entirely good person, because she does have her own goals or ideals she wants to accomplish, and she knows about this, or Charlotte, and then, Angie is actually the princess, but they both know, and basically, even though we know she's not completely innocent, I don't think she is someone to betray her, friends, or betray Charlotte in general. So in this case, I feel like the worry was for nothing, but it was logical. I mean, a princess going out of her way to help out a group of spies and kind of go against her own country, it seems like that's kind of too good to be true. So you have it to where in this episode, if anything went wrong, everybody would look at the princess, thinking that the princess is the one that caused anything to happen. And we do know that there was a leak in this episode, and so we don't know exactly what happened to all of this, like who really established and gave out the leak in the first place, but from what you could assume is that the princess definitely was on her side. She wasn't working with anyone else. But, okay, so let's talk about another big thing, some funny moments of this episode. I really love Dorothy as a character. I find her character personality, like how she tries to infiltrate or how she tries to seduce others, it's pretty entertaining. I mean, you see this a lot in spy movies or shows or whatever, especially when there's a woman spy. Usually they, you know, seduce the guy or whatever, and then, you know, they let their guard down, and then they get away with whatever they need to do. So Dorothy doing what she did in this episode, in the past couple episodes, it may seem like it's kind of like a cop-out, but stuff like this does happen in other movies of this genre, so I can kind of let that slide for the most part. But Dorothy is a really cool character. I like her personality. She does have a little bit of a different side to her, because you can see how she was doubting the princess throughout this episode, and she was thinking about it, even though she was doing the other mission as well. And then we have also the other funny moments with, you know, Charlotte or Angie. That's what she goes by. Angie, she has a moment to where the girl that, you know, has the voice changer, she's screaming and shit in the car, which, oh my god, that was a great moment. She turns off her voice. She turns off her voice, like, she's like, be quiet for a second, you're kind of annoying. Just turns her voice off, and she can't even do nothing. She's sitting there, like, not being able to make any sounds as, you know, they're just driving recklessly throughout the streets. That had me laugh quite hard. And then the other scene is when the girl changed her voice to, like, this deeper male voice or whatever. Eventually, Angie's like, hey, change your voice back and all that. That's very creepy, that the way you're talking right now. So you could see that Angie does not like how she could just change her voice like that, and she just is constantly, like, turning off her voice or making her change it. So that is definitely some form of connection these two characters have made. And also, it represents the difference compared to last episode and this episode. Remember, in the last episode, Angie and the maid, she had a little bit of a connection. They kind of grew closer, and we also found out about how her neck got like it was and how she got, you know, this different voice changer. And because of that, we know she was very self-conscious about this. She didn't want to really show people or whatever, but for Angie to go out of her way to kind of fool with it, turn it off or whatever, or just tell her outright, hey, you know, change your voice back, it just shows that these two girls have grown more comfortable with each other, and that the maid has definitely dropped her guard for the most part, being around Angie. So there is obviously some development that has taken place between the last episode and this episode, and that's what makes the series so interesting, is because it has went out of, you know, the proper chronological order. It's no longer in the proper order of the timeline. We don't really know what to expect next week. For instance, next week's episode could be like episode 11. Like, it could be meant to be episode 11, but it's episode 5 next week. You get my point. So I am looking forward to that, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.